Elmsdale new sequence. So they run a bit more efficiently now. So that intersection over there will only turn red if there's a call on phase 8. Both of those directions are running 2 adaptable overlaps for phase 6. All of the main street sensors over there and here we'll call phase 6. This is running a delayed left turn arrow now. So it overlaps with phase 1 and phase 3. So if there's a call on phase 8, it will omit phase 1, but it will call phase 3. And the advantage of that is that 6 can gap out and 3 can gap out before 8. So if 8's on, 3 is always on, so it will clear out this kind of short zone, which is less than 100 meters. But as soon as the call drops, phase 3 will gap out, and it will either resurface phase 2 or it will serve phase 4. So in this case, there's a call on phase 4. So now it will gap out. But this was 1 because there wasn't a call on 8. But it looks the same in the field, but it's just doing something different behind the scenes. So now we'll just kind of rest in 2 and 6. So, yeah, the side street here in both directions is phase 4. This direction that we're looking at now is technically overlap A, because this can stay green with phase 8. Similarly, 2 can also stay green with phase 8. They're 2 separate intersections and they are compatible phases. So in this case, it was calling 1 because there's no call on 2. So after 10 seconds, and it will probably resurface phase 1 again unless the call drops, which it did. So if 8 is active and somebody is on the left turn lane here, it will actually remap the call to phase 3 left turn, but normally it calls phase 1. But when phase 1's omitted, it has to call phase 3. So now we've got a call on 4. And if there's no call on 1, these 2 signals will just gap out together. So 2 is about to drop. And if there's a call on phase 8, that can also gap out independently of this. They are programmed to gap out together, and they do have to sequence certain phases if they gap out together. They can also gap out independently, which they will. It just serves these 2 intersections more efficiently. So there's not too much traffic today, but the PED signal over here, so now there's a call on phase 8. So we're almost about to gap out here. So that will serve phase 8, and this will give you your lagging arrow. But that will drop. That's still green. So that gives you green there. And then that will reserve the green. And I have a PED overlap on that signal over there, so that will actually call 2 and 6. So the reason for that is because 6 typically is always on before 2. 2 comes on, it will resurface that ped call. So if this call's on phase 4, phase 8, and the max time for 6 is basically run out, it won't serve that ped phase, but it will serve it with phase 2, which is just basically 7-second lock, 8-second ped clear, and it doesn't really impede anything. And then over here is just a standard phase 4 with a 7-second LPI, just because it's a very wide crossing and everybody's turning left into the crosswalk. So ideally I'd like to fully protect it, but this is the best I can get for now until I get a signal upgrade here. So in the controller, this is what you'd be seeing. So 4 is green right now, which is this side street. So now there's a call on phase 8, and then that O means omit. So now phase 1 is omitted. So out in the field, you'll actually still see that left turn, but it's just not a phase 1 left turn, it's a phase 3 left turn. But the overlap will still show up. So now 2 and 6 are gapping out, and then you're going to see 3, and then you'll see the 4 with the flashing G. That means vehicle overlap 4 is a flashing green. So 3 is gapping out with the overlap, and now 8's gapping out. And you see 4 is back on, and then 2 and 3 are technically phase 6, but they're overlaps. And then it goes back to 2 and 6. And overlap 1. So there is actually no phase 6 being displayed in the field. They're all overlaps A, B, and C. And phase 2 is just a regular phase. And then the arrow is also an overlap. So there's no call on phase 8. So if somebody goes left, you'll see a call on phase 1. Oh, so there you go. You got an omit. And then you see the call on phase 3. So the X means that the call is maxed out. So 8's still green. It still has a call, so 4 in green, and then there you go. Now that call drops, and then we'll resurface the main street. And this is the monitor. So this is a TS1 cabinet, so that's a CMU, conflict monitor unit, as opposed to a TS2 MMU, malfunction management unit. Here's all your load switches, your field terminals, messy cables. And then up here is this is an older Wavetronics system. This is your detector rack, head isolator cards, power supply, which gives you your low voltage, because there's no power supply unit in TS1 cabinets. And then you got 1 loop card, because the graveyard does actually have loops. There you go. Oh yeah, there's your call on phase 1. So as soon as 2 drops, it will actually reserve phase 1. Give you a lagging arrow. So the overlap actually, there was a call on phase 8 at the last second, so the overlap actually continued from phase 1 into phase 3, which doesn't really add that much extra time. It just helps clear out traffic, and then when 8 is on, it will just allow this center zone to get cleared, like I mentioned before, and then that gaps out again. So see the calls there again. And I have locked calls set to 2 and 6, so even if they turn right or disappear, it will always try to recall to the main street phase, just to take the calls away from the side streets. So anyway, there you go.